Hey guys, so in this video we're going to address a question I actually got today, and it was such a great question that I thought, hey, let's make a video about it. So basically one of my subscribers asked me the question, so Fredrik, Go, do you think that that's a good, introductory language to do computer science for kids? And the question wasn't really, it wasn't specifying younger kids or anything like that, but I thought it was it's such an interesting question that I felt that I'm just gonna have to make a video about this. So, to give you a bit of a background story on what basically makes this an interesting question for me is I need to go back to when I first started studying computer science, and we also have to kind of touch a little bit on what computer science actually is, because I believe that people kind of mix the meaning of computer science with software development. And there is actually a difference, or rather, I will argue that there is a difference. You are free, of course, to not agree here, but in my experience, computer science is about learning algorithms. It's about learning, basically solving highly complicated problems such as sorting, you have named algorithms that are famous using big O notations and such things. That's at least when I studied computer science, that's what I was learning. Coding was just it's just a way to solve these problems. You use programming for computer science, but computer science is not the same thing as what I'm doing today as a professional. Software development is not computer science. It uses the same tools and some concepts are common, but it's not the same thing. And the thing is that when I was learning computer science in school, I was taught everything from, we were doing this in C, and basically C and the choice of language of C was basically there because this course that we were focusing on, I did one in Python as well, but this one was the one that actually sparked this desire of mine to make this video. So basically our teachers at Harvard, basically I was taking a distance course at Harvard, and they had CS50, absolutely amazing. You can go and check it out. It's really, really great. And basically they did it all in C, and I want to believe that the reason why they did it in C is because with something as low level as that, you need to learn everything from what's binary code, memory management. You need to learn a memory buffer, how that works. They taught you all of it, everything, everything. You learn the bare bone basics of how a computer actually works, and how binary works, how assembly code works, how linking is working, compiling, all of it. You learned all of it. The one thing that I did notice, and I think this is actually a bit of a philosophical, it's a philosophical thing basically. So one of the things that when we were actually done with the first part of the course, where we just did mostly theory, we went in and started, we were going to write software, right? The problem was that our teachers realized that they needed to provide some way, because they hadn't covered how to use strings, because you may actually not know this, but in C you don't have something as a string does not exist like it would in any other most other programming languages. You have a character array instead that represents a string, and the teachers and the tutors, they thought that this was too complicated for beginners to learn at the get-go, and I absolutely agree. I think that there is this sweet spot that you want to achieve for this was in college, so bear with me, these are not young kids. So basically on the question should Go be is that a good language to do introductions to computer science, and I would actually go and say that yeah, honestly to God, I actually think it is. The thing is that I'm one of those people who like to think that there is a big value in teaching people things that are adjacent to things that will empower them even more. And the thing with C is that odds are that if you do a complete computer science course or programming in C, you will not be able to extract that and use that in your daily life. I have my friends who did, you know, basic computer programming in high school. They did it all in C, and they lost they're not even remotely interested. They can't even use that knowledge today. So when it comes to Go, what's beautiful about Go is that if you learn computer science and you learn how to build things in Go, you can very easily start to be empowered to do, you will get everything you need to understand the low-level details, like the coursework will actually be possible to do. You will have strings, for example. You don't have to create, like our teachers had to create a custom, basically, header class that imported a special function that created these like strings and dynamic arrays and stuff like that. All these helper tools are already in something like Go, and the best part about it is that it's actually going to empower the college students to build even more sophisticated things, and they can actually go out into life and start working. Unless you're teaching software development, because software development is a little bit different, where software development would be you can still teach software development in Go, but you know, other factors are more important when you're doing something like that. However, that's the answer I gave to my subscriber. However, I also said something, and that is that if you go even further down, because basically the question can also mean, should we teach Go as an introductory programming language to kids in elementary school or high school? No, I don't think we should, because I make a distinction between computer science, real computer science, and programming. They are similar, but the focus is very different, at least in my opinion. I don't see any value at all, and I really hope that, here in Sweden they're pushing coding on kids as well. I hope they realize that when you're that young, when you're 16, 19 or something like that, even younger, you do not have an accurate, you don't have the type of enthusiasm. I will say it's very rare. There's very few like teenagers who are going to find computer science all that interesting at that young age. So what I would argue is that it's better to teach, if you want kids to know programming and get them interested in programming, focus on that. Don't try to give them like the complicated fancy algorithms. Just make them feel empowered to use code to solve their own problems. You may have noticed that a lot of the video tutorials that I make are actually videos and tutorials that are geared towards you making something that is actually useful. Like all of it I've been using myself for different projects. It's real softwares. It's not hardcore computer science. It's something that you can actually use, something that is fun to build. And I think that's a much better approach. And for something like that, JavaScript would be the best choice. I think that anything if you're not teaching hardcore computer science, I think you should teach the kids JavaScript, because it will give them everything. They will be able to do, like, they won't feel limited in the same way. But I mean, because let's face it, if you were taking a single semester of like a few weeks in computer programming, you're not going to get enough from the school. If you're just taking a course, you're not going to learn as a teenager what you need to be like a hardcore super software developer and understand all the power that comes with programming skills. But you can teach them things that will get them to be interested in learning the next steps. And you do that by basically making them feel empowered, by basically trying to teach them things that they will find useful themselves and that they can actually use to affect their own world. And I think that in terms of ease of access and being like a little bit of a universal language, JavaScript will be the best bet. So those are my 2 cents on this. I would say that using Go as an introductory language for learning like real computer science and how binary, basically the type of computer science that I studied at college, that's perfect. I think it's a great start. It's a great starting language for that. Arguably, C is, it depends on how hardcore you want to be. I mean, Python is also great for computer science, but I think Go is a good choice. But if you go younger than that, I think that you should not even teach kids the real hardcore computer science, because I mean, shit, we're struggling with to get kids interested in math. Can you imagine how difficult it will be to get them interested in like the greedy algorithm or something that is actually it's rivaling algebra easily in terms of complexity? You don't teach kids that. My argument is teach them JavaScript, make them feel like they can like use JavaScript to modify web pages or do cool things with HTML and CSS, and make them kind of get interested in something like web technology or something like that, because you can teach them that in a semester. You don't give me bullshit about like Android and like all of these other complicated things, because it takes more time to get really productive. They're not so likely to be able to be really productive and feel empowered by these more advanced concepts, because it takes longer and it requires them to be really interested. JavaScript they can pick up very easily, CSS they can pick up very easily, HTML they can pick up very easily. You can focus on solely that, and I'm pretty sure that we're going to see, if you start doing that, if the schools start doing that, we will see a rise in the amount of people who go from just knowing some stuff about JavaScript and front-end development in school, and then I'm pretty sure that the number of people who are going to go into the software development and computer science is going to go up with it. Those are my 2 cents on it. Hope this was useful to you.